I'm working in the juvenile halls, man. So a lot of these kids, they don't even get to go home.
Right.
You know, I went through that stage of bringing the magazines, and y'all watch Nickelodeon. That's my brother. They're coming back to school. Yeah, we seen him, but that ain't your brother.
That's a crazy sentence. First of all, people don't even know Mike used to be black. I ain't gonna ask you all the kids' names now.
Please don't. Please.
Bow my head, let it rain. For the fact that you died, but you live again. Born in the trap, but you led the way. We could die any day, Lord, give us wings.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of Icon Presents. Today's guest shocked the world when we discovered his family ties, his community outreach and youth programs and support groups and everything have inspired so many. Here to talk about his newest projects, music, arts, and all that. Ladies and gentlemen,
Hey now.
Gabriel Cannon.
Man, I'm here, baby.
Ah, man, good to see you, man.
Hey, my bad. You want to retake my fault?
How you doing, Gabe?
Man, I'm blessed, man. I'm here with you, man. I feel like I need to call this the PK circle. The pastor's kids, man.
Right?
We was the bad ones. Was you a bad?
I was bad, but not as bad as my other ones.
What, your siblings?
My siblings, it was like, yo, those people, it was a piece of work.
We knew the line. We knew the line. It's just like the line is right there.
I was close to the last, so there was 5 of us.
Okay.
I'm second to the youngest.
Really? It was 5 of us too?
Yeah.
Y'all used to act like the Jacksons?
For real, yes. We had
you grew up on stage, though.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
sure.
I was going to House of Blues. I remember I used to sing in the choir. I don't sing in the choir anymore because I got pushed to the sound. So I do all the sound and engineering and all of that.
Right.
But I don't do that. I don't get the luxury of being out there anymore. But man, I remember those days of being up there. My parents used to do the San Diego or the House of Blues Gospel Brunch.
Right.
So I used to be on stage then too. When they had the choir come up and everything. So much fun. But this interview is not about me.
But
it is
we
about
was before we got on, we was talking about, which is dope. I mean, just in entertainment, the switch.
Yes.
Having a switch, like being in the industry for so long that you're able to just turn it on when there's lights, camera, action, and able to turn it off. Like,
especially being a PK.
For sure.
Being a PK, man, because you have a expectation on you right away.
Period.
It's like, hey, somebody else might be able to just kind of hide out in the background and do everything. Not the pastor's kids.
Not at all.
If anybody's going to volunteer for anything, it's going to be the pastor's kids, man. Exactly. If anybody's life is going to be used in a sermon, it's going to be the pastor's kids. Any mistake you make, anything that
it's
you did.
It's going to be an example Sunday morning.
Yes. Oh, man, he used to kill me. My dad be up there preaching. He'd be like, you know what that boy Antoine did? I'd be like, oh, Lord have mercy.
Like, come on, Pops. No, that's hilarious.
Oh, man. So, Gabe, tell me about yourself. Where'd you grow up?
Man, the beginnings, old country dirt roads, man.
Yeah.
Charlotte, North Carolina, man.
Okay.
My mother's from Chester, South Carolina, so there's really dirt roads down there, and just really between Charlotte, North Carolina, Chester, South Carolina. I'm the middle child, like you said, of 5. You was the what? The next to last.
Yeah, next to last.
I'm the middle child of that guy.
Yeah. Got you. So sometimes they didn't even know you were there.
That's what it felt like, but then too. When I grew up, and then you talk to your other siblings, as adults, you realize everybody felt that way.
Yeah, true.
Everybody felt like the black sheep. Like everybody felt like, it's crazy. Because like we would gang up on one like on a Tuesday, and then it's on him on Wednesday. And so everybody kind of had those similar experiences and kind of had those similar feelings. But I was for sure the middle child from Charlotte, North Carolina. But humble beginnings, man. Grew up in the church. My dad was kind of like a street evangelist. We attended a church, but he was a minister, but over the evangelism team. So he would take his boys out on weekends. And he always, back in the day, the cameras was huge. And he would just preach to people. You know what I mean? We was in the back seat terrified because, you know, we think it's zombies and stuff. It was just crackheads. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but us as kids, like, we just like, oh my God, it's moving. Like, you know, and my dad would just be out there preaching the gospel and just, you know, just really being a light in the community. You know, since I was a kid, my dad always had a nonprofit. You know, that's kind of ties into, you know, why I have a passion for some of the things I'm doing now.
Trying to understand you a bit more.
Right. Yeah,
so,
you know what I mean?
I'm gonna tell you, sometimes it's hard to like, okay, so the world knows you shocked the world on ABC's show. What was that show called? Claim to Fame.
Claim to Fame,
right?
baby.
You watch that show and then you learn Gabriel Cannon is brother to Nick Cannon.
Hey, now.
Nick Cannon with Mr. Drumline.
Mr. Drumline.
Mr. One Team, One Dream.
Yes, sir. One band, one sound.
One band, one sound. That's how it went.
Same thing. One team, one dream, baby.
One band, one sound. I remember watching that movie when I was younger. Cause you know, we were musicians in the family. So it was like, oh, yeah, let's watch this drummer movie.
Right.
All that. We thought they were bad, man.
Right.
But man, so you shocked the world with that. And people, obviously, a lot of people didn't know that even there was any family or anything like that.
Right.
You guys are vastly different, though.
Really? Right.
It's, well, from what people know, I would say
for sure.
At least you're from the outside looking in. Like everything you ever see about Nick is always either from like TV or and all that stuff, but you got Wildin' Out and 1,000 different kids out there and all that kind of stuff, which I ain't even gonna ask you all the kids' names now.
Please don't. Please. Please don't.
Like that'll be awkward.
And they're powerful names. I mean, one of them actually name is powerful, but it's like, you know, Nick is a creative.
Yeah.
And he is deep. You know, he got that turban on. He deep. He's spiritual brother.
I got you.
And so you can see that in his kids' names. So these names are so dynamic and intricate. Like that adds a layer to memorizing all 12. Like, you know what I mean? Like Glory, Hallelujah, Sunday morning. Like the names is amazing for sure.
I feel it. So tell me a little bit about growing up. So you obviously having Nick as a brother. Do you have any other family members that were ever in the limelight in Hollywood or anything like that? Obviously your dad was out there with you.
Yeah, my dad was in the ministry, but not that you know, unless my grandma go back and tell, well, that's your cousin, you know how grandma do. But nah, it was just, you know, my dad had a dream. It all came from my dad really in this big old camera. Our whole childhood, me and my other brothers, is really documented on tape. You know, before the reality shows, before, you know, people see my dad coming, he'd come with that camera. Like, you know, he had it with him all the time. And, you know, being a minister, we wasn't able to watch certain things on TV. Right. You know, he would make us turn the TV, unless Michael Jackson was on.
Right,
like,
of course.
We gotta watch Michael Jackson.
Everything stops when
right. But you know, he would bring his big camera, he would make us turn the TV off and give us his camera though. So it's like, you know, he would give Nick, since Nick was the oldest responsible, Nick was about 12 at the time. And it's almost like, you know, you can't watch TV, but make your own TV. Your little brothers as your actors. And that's really where the foundations of the Hollywood dreams and the entertainment stuff started. You know, we would be able to turn on the TV and see my dad. He had a public access channel, like, you know, the little locals station channels. And he wasn't like selling prayer cloths and stuff, but he would always have these messages. And then, you know, slowly he gave Nick a segment, like, you know, the inspirational minutes or something like that. And, you know, Nick would give his little inspiration and add a little rap. And so,
was Nick, what lineup out of the five of y'all? Which one do you?
Nick is the oldest.
Nick's the oldest.
Yeah, Nick is the oldest of all five. Like I said, I'm in the middle. And it's me, it's Nick, Caleb, Ruben, me. Nick, Caleb, me, Ruben, and then Javen. And so, yeah, man.
All boys.
Yeah, 5, all boys. Yeah, that's why we
basketball team, man.
Man, we was sucker for loves too. You know what I mean? He's like, you like me? Like out the crowd, like no girls around. So it was, you know, but it was everything. You know, was a learning curve looking back. Like even like I said with my dad with the nonprofits, he had it with Drug Free Youth. We going door to door selling candy. Like you know what I mean? Learning the numbers game. You know, learning like the more no's you get, the closer you are to that yes. You know, and looking back, I realized that kind of helped me get over my fear of people.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm knocking on your door trying to get to a number, be the highest seller every night. I really ain't intimidated by the person. I got a goal and objective now. You know what I mean?
And now sales really get you in touch with people.
No, for sure. But then as a child, like, you know what I mean? My dad instilling that stuff in us. And
breaking down that barrier as a kid. A lot of times you cross that, you get the kids past that, being afraid to speak to people.
Right.
Early,
right?
They're limitless when it comes to advancing in life.
Facts.
You can do so much more. Like my parents stayed on us. First off, it was one thing. First off, you don't whisper, and I got respect for that. So it'd be like I deal with this now because I meet people and they kids. I ask them like a question or whatever. They talking all soft and everything.
Right.
I'm like that. I'm like, nah. For us, it was like, hey, say it with your chest.
Right.
You talking? What's your name?
Yeah.
My name is Antoine Haynes.
Right.
You look somebody in the eye.
Right.
It's like same thing. A lot of military teachers teaches you the same thing, but it's important. So go on, tell me.
Well, I mean, just even to what you said, like I just, you know, coming here, I just left the juvenile hall.
Yeah.
And I'm teaching in the juvenile hall, and as one of my students, you know, that's locked up, and he probably got a year and a half left, just locked up. They just missed Christmas, New Year's, all of that being locked up, and but they do that, and they're 19 years old, and it's like, you know, we're doing daily check-ins, you know, say your name, how was your day, how old are you, and they got their head down, they ain't saying their own name with their chest, and it's like, yo, man, before we get out of here, we got some things to work on, man.
Exactly.
Like you know, and that brings, you know, a boldness or even a self-esteem almost, you know, being confident in who you are for sure.
That's a lot of reasons why people walk with their heads down. Is the low self-esteem, lack of confidence that's in them that a lot of times, no matter, even if you encourage somebody, it's that challenge of kind of getting over it.
Right.
Sometimes it takes a level of humility to be able to do that.
Right.
A lot of times the most outspoken people will be the most humble.
Right.
Because they're not afraid. It's like, all right, if I mess up on something or whatever like that, it is what it is.
I'm sorry.
You know, I'm sorry. Cool. We gonna keep it pushing.
Right.
But it's when you have when you're overly reserved and everything, a lot of times it's like, and you don't want kids, especially in that situation where you got somebody in juvenile hall or whatever, to reserve to themselves, because you see it too many times, like with, you know, I hate to say it this way, but because I know it's like when you're on YouTube and all that, certain words, but there's people, a lot of times when they get too down on themselves, they make decisions that they can't take back. Right. So if you're out there and you're inspiring people to accept challenges, to get into things that they never would have thought they would have ever considered, to have an outlook on life that is better than the situation they may have grown up in. Right. A lot of times you view the world based off of your situation. Absolutely. And you don't know how much more there is to it. There, and so then you be like, I'm never going to get past this part. This is all that's in for me. What's the point of me ever even going on? And then they make decisions. Right. And then, so it's like, I respect it, man. I always see all the work that you're doing on when it comes to your community work. And obviously with Icon, we've gone out there and done some things with you, caught some footage on there. Obviously we got a project in the works right now, which we'll touch bases on a little bit more with that. But I saw you had a project. I saw it on Instagram. I think it was called like Creative Arts or something like that.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about that.
In the high desert, man, I'm blessed to have an opportunity to, you know, when I left Hollywood, because we'll get to the story, me going to Hollywood, leaving Hollywood and all that. But when I left Hollywood, I thought I was supposed to surrender, you know, a lot of the things I learned in Hollywood to, you know, follow God or whatnot. And God was literally like, man, no, I gave you that front row seat to sharpen you. You was just serving the wrong kingdom, basically.
Right, exactly.
You know, and so with the, you know, like I said, from my origins, my dad had nonprofits. So when I left Hollywood, I went to Bible college. And when I came out of Bible college, it was like, you know, I'm married now. Like, you know what I mean? I don't want to go back to the guy. I know who I can be. You know what I'm saying? I need to put some barbed wire, some brick wall around. Like, you know, and so I was like, man, I'm not going back to Hollywood. So I went directly in the community and started working with this organization called Young Visionaries, founded by a guy named Terrence Stone, who was a former gang member, just completely turned his life around. And for 22 years, you know, now been serving in the front line in the community, like in a major way in the Inland Empire. And so just, you know, I met him when I was assigned to Def Jam. And so I would come speak to the students as this artist from Def Jam, Nick Cannon's brother, this famous guy, you know, and really just had to go through my own journey, surrender a lot of things, change my idea of what success was, and came back full circle and was like, man, this is where I want to be, like working with these kids. So I'm working in the juvenile halls, man. So a lot of these kids, they don't even get to go home. Like, you know what I mean? They like, you know, I just left and some got 2 more years left, a year and a half just being locked up, and they're still in their teens, you know, 18, 19, 17, you know. And so I'm going in there, I'm teaching acting and improv. Okay. You know what I mean? You got these guys who might have attempted murder, you know, these teens, or, you know, robbery, repeated robbery, you know what I mean? Arsons and everything you could think, things that like, you look at them like, dang, you did that as just a kid. Like, you know what I mean? But you read these sheets, it sounds like monsters. You know what I mean? And you meet them and you see these faces and you still see these still blank slates. You know what I mean? These still are children, honestly, you know. And so I'm going in there with acting and improv. I'm trying to get you out of your shell, and they looking at me, who's this big black? You know what I'm saying? Like, who's this dude? You know, and of course the Nick Cannon thing softens, you know, the approach now, they're kind of intrigued. So, you know, just honestly asking God, what did you give me for? What is this position for? How can I best use this, not just for myself, but overall, you know, when I leave here, you know? And so, yeah, they just gave me an opportunity to come teach acting and improv. I strongly feel and believe that if I could teach a young person to develop a character, you are understanding why this character twitched, why he's doing what he's doing. He used to get beat as a child, or his self-esteem is low, so he has his head down. And they're identifying that when they're building these characters and acting them out, they'll automatically, subconsciously begin to identify that and change that in themselves. So we're doing improv games and we're acting, but they're getting real work on, you know, their real characters. So I mean, it's a blessing because I'm still sharpening my tools. I'm still, you know, I need the next idea. I'm trying to get in these movies next too. But, you know, because I had a front row seat to it, you know, I sat in all the acting trainings, all the tapes that Nick came home with when he in his Nickelodeon days, and they're doing hosting training. Like, I rewinded them things over and over.
Got you. So you still studying.
Yeah, it wasn't TikTok and all that when we was coming up. It was only a few outlets and it was only a few networks. So, you know, I subconsciously didn't even realize was putting the work in, you know, for my future, or was being groomed back then for what I would be doing now. So, yeah, man, big in the community. I mean, of course, we do the give backs on Christmas, the turkeys on Thanksgiving. We in the tens of thousands now, just, you know, but it's still, when I go to Hollywood, I look at these events and these step and repeats got all of these brands on them and all of these logos. And it's like, man, they spent $500,000 for this party and it's going to be over in the morning. And it's like, man, if we had that type of money to put in the community, we could build some last $500,000. Like, you know what I mean? We could work with that. Like, you know what I mean? And they just flushing it. So I'm trying to figure out, my goal now is to be almost the ambassador to the youth.
I got you.
You know, to where like there's gotta be a voice that say, hey man, I'm developing the minds of tomorrow. I'm helping develop the minds and the hearts and the soul, whatever, of tomorrow. I could put your brand in front of their face, but give us the tools. Okay. You know what I mean? By the time they old enough to become your stockholders, they've been dealing with your brand since a child. They got loyalty, you know what I mean? So kind of really just building that bridge from the brands to the community.
I got you. So you mentioned your past with Hollywood, and you mentioned you being signed to Def Jam and everything like that. Now, I know you've told me like a good amount of that story, but for the audience, do me a favor. Just give us a nice kind of
overview of it. Okay, for sure. Like from North Carolina, Nick got famous. I think I was around the 10th grade when Drumline came out. And so before Drumline, he's been on Nickelodeon. You know, I went through that stage of bringing the magazines and y'all watch Nickelodeon, that's my brother. They're coming back to school. Yeah, we seen him, but that ain't your brother. You ain't see the credits. Next time, watch the credits. They come back. I watched the credits. It say Cannon, but that ain't your brother. Like, you know what I mean? and taking pictures of school, and people would steal our pictures with Nick, like being of us growing up because he's on TV, and and so 10th grade, he got to a level to where he's doing movies now. So we all move out to California to where I call it my Ashy the Classy story. You know what I mean? It immediately changed. Like, you leave in Charlotte, North Carolina, all right, you cool. Yeah. When Drumline came out, my life changed. You know what I mean? I had one little girl I liked. I ended up having 3 girlfriends after Drumline came out. Like, what am I gonna do with all this? When we moved to California, it's like Nick Cannon's brothers coming. We didn't understand star power. You know what I mean? We little black boys playing baseball and basketball, man. And we get out here and people are waiting on us, waiting to see what we look like. And that was mine. And it's like, what? We found out what a kickback was. And, and so just been serving, man. When Wildin' Out came out, we seen Nick take Wildin' Out. We seen him from Drumline. Basically Hollywood tell him, like, Nick, you ain't hot, man. Like, in their mind. So Nick, knowing who he is, went and created Wildin' Out. We seen him book out the little hole in the wall club, call his friends, probably a bunch of girls. He was put these shirts on, Wildin' Out girls, and we seen that whole process just to see it. We seen him put his own money in and get back in the car. Like, man, I don't know if I was supposed to spend that money. Like, and just his faith and his belief. We was young, I'm probably a junior in high school when I moved out here, but to just watch him, I'm able in high school to take my friends from a high school basketball practice. We go shower up and we go directly on set to Wildin' Out. Like, I bring my whole team. It's grown women. Like, you know what I mean? And parties going on. And, I'm pouring the liquor for everybody. Like, 17, 18 years old. I'm bartending. And so just to fast forward through life, man, like, with an influx of people, we had access to everything, able to get into 21-year-old clubs. And, from there we got signed to Def Jam, through Nick's label, Incredible. We got signed to Def Jam as an R&B group. We did a song called Cakes with Fabulous. Our single was Sorry Apology. We did the 106 in Parks and toured with Mariah Carey the whole 2010 on the Angels Advocate tour, and just unusual blessings, man. Like the fact that he married Mariah, then it's like we get to tour with her, and she's sitting right here on Thanksgiving, and it's crazy. We tell the story. This is Thanksgiving. We at Mariah's house, and there's this light-skinned guy playing the piano, and he's singing. And it's like, this brother good, and you know what I mean. Years back, you look, and that's the dude that was at Mariah's house singing it, and it's John Legend. Like,
that's what I thought you was going to bring up.
Like, and it's like, what, bro?
Right?
Like, you know what I mean? But just like...
He'd hit you with we're just ordinary people.
I don't even know. He probably was writing it at the house. Just the unusual rooms. Like, you know what I mean? You get to go in and... it's just a sharpening, and so got signed to Def Jam, seeing that whole experience, man. I mean, it was such a learning curve just going on tour, but then with one of the greatest artists ever, you know what I mean? Watching her lighting people rehearse is you're learning something,
Just being in that environment, you get to absorb, you're like a sponge.
Man, it was crazy, man. Yeah. So I went from being my brother's behind the scenes camera guy every day to I ran a street team. He had a store on Melrose called P&B Nations. I ran street teams for that, and like I said, went on tour with Mariah, signed to Def Jam, and seen the top of that pyramid, man. And I don't even want to give myself the credit. Like, I surrendered, I bowed out, I quit. God started closing doors. Like, you ain't going in there no more. Close the door. I messed that situation up just for you. And then you think, oh my God, my life is over. But he was leading and guiding me. And I always had a bug in me for ministry, growing up in the church, and just left Hollywood, man, and went to Bible college, and like, hey, use me, man. Like, hey, if you still want me, if I'm still worth doing something, use me. And I think in that surrender is where I began to discover purpose, and a calling and things like that, So I think that was a little
man. That's exactly that's very interesting, because I would say that it's kind of shocking for somebody to kind of view it and see it and see everything that could come of that if you just go all the way in and all that kind of stuff, but decide, you know what, I have a higher purpose than this.
Right.
That I want God to use me on something else, not for self-fulfillment, but let me fulfill your will, your way. That's what you kind of want to do.
Well, I think if it was up to me, it was like,
oh yeah, but you don't get a choice.
I would have, but I think God was like, no, you got a higher purpose. Like, exactly. And he kind of probably, because if it was up to me, like I tell people, man, like, to be honest, even with that Def Jam thing, if that group went, I mean, we was on tour with Mariah and Trey Songz. Yeah. Like, you know, we opened at Madison Square Garden, bro. Okay. Like, you know, on New Year's Eve night, 2009 turning through 2010, and you know, we're the opening act. The lights go out, and you just look, and it's like, is that wall moving? Like, when the wall is moving because the noise of the people, because the house lights finally went down. Like, and my voice is the first voice they about to hear, and we're the open. Man, it's mind blowing. So. It
is, and it's always from. I've never been on stage and to that effect, which to that extent. And it's crazy. I remember growing up, and I went to when my parents were, you know, when they were performing at the House of Blues, my dad's band, Bishop John W. Haynes and Change. Right. And they would be on tours and all that. But when they came they were doing the House of Blues, and they were doing it regularly, right? They had a contract. So they were doing San Diego, Hollywood, and Anaheim, right? And they just kept it going. And then they had the choir come out there, and I used to sing some songs or whatever like that. There is nothing. I don't know. And it's one of those things that not a whole lot of people get to experience, but it's something different. When you walk out on stage, I remember like when you get that curtain call, right? When the curtains open up, you see all them people out there doing all that. It's a different thing. When we going back to talking about that switch you got, man, it'll be a whole different thing. I remember we were doing that Kurt Franklin's Christmas album. Oh, wow. Let me see, what song is that? Jesus is the Reason. Right? It's classic. Classic, right? You hit that song. I used to lead that song. Our choir used to perform that song. I would lead it. So I would come out there, and I used to dance at the same time as I was singing. We was going all the way with the show. I never forget the one time I almost fell off the stage. I hit it with the pin drop one time, and kind of lost my balance because I had dress shoes on at the same time, and I spun. It was a little slippery, and I caught myself. I thought I played it off, but the lady in front of me, she saw me. She knew it was about to go in, baby. But man, it's crazy. It's crazy to do that. Now you're still doing music, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you're doing music, and I know we talked about a project that where you kind of basically really it's a short film, but it's a music video and it's by name, basically. Tell the people about that project.
Well, that project is definitely being done by the infamous, legendary, greatest in the world icons industry.
Let's go.
You feel me? And so basically what it is it's 3 music videos. You put them together and it equals a short film. Right. But each video alone would be able to stand on its own if you just seen one. But, you know, it came from the concept of trying to figure out how to do the live show different. How do we do a live hip hop show different? It's like, instead of having a bunch of dudes, we've seen that since the late 80s. Like,
I'm going to tell you, hip hop is one of those genres that does not transfer live as well as so many of the other genres. It's like, how many times you get somebody in there grabbing their pants, sitting there and it's like,
right. So with that thought and that truth, it's like, man, how do we build? So I went to a movie screening, you know, before the movie come out, movie screening, they show you the film. It's a Hollywood thing. If you're into it, ain't been as though they screen the movies before they come out. And so it's like, how do I merge that with the live show? Right. You know what I mean? So trying to merge a movie screening with a live rap show, I kind of came up with the concept, and it's called Love War. And so basically it's about 2 guys. Both of them's going into a music industry. They're in the same group, but they come at this crossroads. They're about to sign to One World Records. You know what I mean? Kind of like New World Order. So they're about to sign to this record company, and my character, he kind of, he's going down this path. You know, he's a spiritual dude. He's standing on principles and morals. His rap partner, he's this eccentric, is played by this guy named Hassan. He's actually signed to Dame Dash and Kanye's label. One of their first artists they putting together on their little joint venture. Hassan, and he plays David, who this dude really ready to sell his soul for the deal. Whatever you want, baby, we get it. But it's so much, I call it like eye candy, and it not as far as females, but as far as messages, you know, hidden messages to where it's like every time David wears yellow, his whole crew wears yellow. You know what I mean? Just to kind of peep in on the sheep mentality of Hollywood, like the go along, get along type, you know, mentality. And there's so much hidden gems. When my character shakes the record label's boss hand, a subliminal snake comes out and wrap around, kind of subliminally messaging the soul tie almost. And it's so much in there because I've been in the front row of the industry, but people ain't never heard of me. People ain't even know Nick Cannon has brothers. He got 4 of them. Like, you know what I mean? But which was a good thing for me to sit below the radar. You know, I've been in rooms that you didn't know that was me in there. Like, and then if you see me again, it's like, I know him from somewhere. But I got in that room. Like, you know what I mean? And so to now have the platform, thank you ABC, Hulu, for bringing me out the shadows. But now having the platform to, you know, artistically express some of these things I've seen from a different point of view with spiritual eyes, I would say, for sure.
That's nice, man. So you got Love War.
Love War, baby.
And then you have some more projects that you're working on. You mentioned to me an album that you're working on now.
I got an album. It's a victory album. I call it the Victory Album. And a lot of people think subliminally I'm saying the victory because I, on national TV, baby, went and got the victory on the claim to fame. But I've always been walking in victory. You know what I mean? And even on this earth, we know we got to lay these bodies down. And but we still have the victory, you know, through Christ. So it's just me putting that message out, even though you will see my stumbles. If you go dive deep enough in Google, it'll be like, hey, it was crazy back then. Look at him with all them, like, you know what I'm saying? But I had the victory even then because, you know, my God knows the beginning and the end. You know, before I was in my mother's womb, he knew me. So just to reiterate those messages, one of the things I'm seeing now with the youth I'm teaching is there's boundaries and understandings that they don't have. There's filters, there's systems that they don't have that was given to us. And so to now reestablish the foundation. I like that. Well, we're going to reestablish the foundation for sure.
Man, that's awesome. So the song that you planned on performing for us today,
that
song, is it on the new album?
Yes, it's going to be on there. It's my lead one, Bow My Head. I put it out a while ago, but it's just, I think it's a message that is refreshing and everybody got to know. It's featuring actually my brother that's a year younger than me, Gabriel Cannon, which is an amazing R&B artist. He got an album coming out now, Zelzel. Y'all got to look it up because I don't know how to say it. But it's such a deep meaning behind it. And it's featuring my younger brother,
All y'all
Gabriel Cannon.
is deep and can't name none of this stuff.
Right. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Like, kids' names is deep. Albums' names is deep.
Everything deep.
Like, come on, man.
But you got to refer to your notes because it's a lot. It's a lot. But it's called Bow My Head. And it was at that time where I was kind of leaving Hollywood and kind of getting settled. And the only thing I could hold on to was those prayers, was the reality of God, because everything I knew was dwindling, was leaving. I knew how to get money a certain way. I knew how to get attention a certain way. I would do certain things to let myself know I'm valuable. Oh, you see me, girl? I thought I was. And I confirmed my identity in different things. And, you know, surrendering that, it was almost like, man, all I could do was bow my head. So that's kind of where the inspiration for that track came to. But still being transparent. Like, yo, though I'm saying I'm out here, I'm praying for a reason because I need it. You know?
I love it. Well, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do it. Gabriel Cannon.
This is a track called Bow My Head. My name is Gabriel Cannon. And thank you for being here.
Look. Is there heaven for a G? Is there a section for me? One who knew the whole truth, but still played in the streets. Is there a mansion in the sky with a safe and a key? If I jump and try to fly, is there saving for me? Hunger pains, thunder rain, this little light of mine. What a flame, brother slain, bloody game. For the fame, he'll put it in his mama name. What a shame, another job interview, man, I should've shaved. My boys robbing you, man, I shouldn't have came. All them positive dudes never make a change. All them lies that you tell never stay the same. Bow my head, let it rain. For the fact that you died, but you live again. Born in the trap, but you led the way. We could die any day, Lord, give us wings. Bow my head, let it rain. For the fact that you died, but you live again. Born in the trap, but you led the way. We could die any day, Lord. Yeah. So I just want to encourage everybody that no matter what life brings you, no matter what obstacles are in your way, no matter what temptations you're facing, you can always go inside. Take the time. Bow your head. There's somebody listening always. He knows all things. Look, he can heal all pain. Look, and send a prayer to the Lord. Look, without him I'm dead. Look. So who gon' tell my mother if I'm missing? Who gon' tell my brothers if I'm broken? Follow close behind by the henchmen. On our own roads that we chosen. Can I really tell my wife that I'm wicked? Soaking in the soul of a soldier. Mapping out a mind of a misfit. Running to my cup, running over. Frantically in a fight for my faith. Falling free on the flats of my face. Father, please give me facts I can face. Cause the cat's out the bag and we rats in this race. So amazed by the maze, so attracted to the trap, so unchained to the cage. Who willing to stand in the gap? Bow my head, let it rain. For the fact that you died, but you live again. Born in the trap, but you led the way. We could die any day, Lord, give us wings. Bow my head, let it rain. For the fact that you died, but you live again. Born in the trap, but you led the way. We could die any day, Lord, give us wings. Bow your head, y'all, in the car, in the shower, by the toilet. Bow your head, baby. I'm telling you, somebody listening and he's real. Just waiting on you to talk to him. Don't leave him in the waiting room. Let him up. Have that conversation. My name is Gabriel Cannon. Hey. Bow my head, yeah. I'ma bow my head. And send a prayer to the Lord. Without him, I'm dead. Go.
Praise the Lord down for letting me to another year. I thank God that we are the answer for this year. I just thank Him. Praise the Lord down for increasing my life.
As soon as I hit the emergency driveway that you've done in my life, I want to thank you, Lord, for, calming down, Lord,
let it rain. For the fact that you died, but you live again. Born in the trap, but you led the way. We could die any day, Lord, give us wings. Bow my head, let it rain. For the fact that you died, but you live again. Born in the trap, but you led the way. We could die any day, Lord, give us wings.
Alrighty.
Yes, sir.
Man, that was great.
Appreciate it,
man. That was, yeah, I loved you. I loved you, man. You did that.
Appreciate it.
I got a question for you.
Yes,
so
sir.
obviously that song has a message that's vastly probably different than kind of the industry, obviously.
Right.
But so I wanted to know what would be like what would you say is your biggest challenge or hurdle when you're coming from like music that's more inspirational, kind of some people may even call you a Christian rapper or whatever. And then, but then you have like obviously the background being signed to Def Jam and all that. It's kind of opposite to that. What's kind of been that biggest challenge for you?
That in itself was the biggest challenge for me. You know what I'm saying? Walking in my truth, because being signed to Def Jam, I tell people I had a mask on. Even when writing lyrics, we did a song called Cakes with Fabulous.
You're right.
And to be 100, after I wrote my verse, I had to go rewrite it because Fabulous used the same metaphors I used. And so the label made me go rewrite mine because he was the more famous artist. But even in that, I would have to scratch my truth out.
Oh, gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So if I'm right in something, you're going to hear, even if it's some drama deep or God help, or like, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, because that's just where my source is, you know? And so that was the challenge, you know, in Hollywood. Then I mastered, you know, even like the essence of being an MC. I think we lost that, the master of ceremony, to be able to have a mic in your hand, and from the person in the front to the person all the way back there by the bar, you're able to move these people with your voice, with the beat on and some, you know what I mean? And to actually, the art of MCing, not just rapping or putting words together, but moving a crowd. I sat young watching the Cat Williams, Kevin Hart's. Like, you know, my job was to put a camera on everybody and wilding out. When they're exercising and doing the games, I gotta watch. Then I gotta go rewatch and log this footage and then rewatch it again to tell Nick what the best parts is that we can, you know, and didn't know I was learning timing and, you know, stuff like that. So
pick up a lot in that.
Yeah, and so for me, it's like I mastered these things that, you know, back to what I was saying earlier, do I have to surrender them? Do I have to put them down? And it's just walking truth with it. You know, it's all tools. It's almost like the cartoons we've been seeing since a child. There's always this power source. And if it gets in the right hands, it's a good thing. If it gets in the wrong hands, like, you know, and that's really just what it is with our gifts, our talents. It's like, we can go either way with them. You know, even the Bible says the gifts are irrevocable that God gives us. So it's like, you can build this kingdom, you know what I mean? Or you can go and build the kingdom of the person who gave you the gift.
As the Bible says, only what you do for him will last. It's like you do it for here.
That reality though, that like what you just and it's like, you know, I literally seen when Michael Jackson died. I'm teaching these kids and I could say something about Michael Jackson. Some of them don't even know that Michael Jackson used to be black. Like, no, I'm like, I know, like, but it's like, not even like just like, so if you show them little Michael from the Jackson 5, they wouldn't know that that's the Thriller or that's the bad. Like they wouldn't, and you know, and it's just like, dang, the greatest of our time that we'll ever see. He's already been forgotten.
You can't even really top Mike.
You can't. Really like you're not going
I often ask the question if people like Mike, Prince, Whitney, if those kind of iconic you know, symbols, that's really what they were. But what they would be like, or what the world would be like if they were still around. It's a weird thing to think about, but it's like, as sometimes when it comes to like political culture and different things like that, because a lot of times those things, media and entertainment does influence culture, right? It's downstream, obviously, or pretty much culture that is downstream of all of that. So it's like, okay, what would they do? And all that, but you're right. You have people now that don't even know Mike was black. Mike, that's a crazy sentence, first of all. People don't even know Mike used to be black. There's a lot of things you can't change. And race is one of them. It don't matter how many times you dye your skin. You still black.
You still was black. But like what we said, like they didn't even know. So it's like the greatest, like he was great as a kid and great, like, you know what I mean? Like you can't top that. And it's already being forgotten, and it hasn't been 50 years past his death.
Right. So if you're talking about like Mike and all of them, real quick, so in kind of obviously how he influenced generations, right?
For sure.
That's true. So you've kind of made this transition in your fields and your music and everything like that. Who would you say is your inspirations?
Oh, my dad gave us our heroes. It was Jesus, Martin Luther King, and Michael Jackson. And then when we got older, we threw Tupac up in there. You know, but for many different reasons. Oh, I forgot, one of the greatest of all times also, Bruce Lee. That'll round off the top 5.
Alrighty.
For many different reasons.
Is it because of their relentless endurance and the way that they kind of approach situations? Or was it like just because those were like the best in all the very fields? Like they was top in every field that you're talking about.
I think it was just a piece of everything that they were. Like with the Bruce Lee, it was the strength, the discipline, also the philosophy. Like, you know what I mean? Though we came from a believing household, the be like water, my friend, the, you know, the philosophy. It was always meekness. So you would always have strength or greatness, but under control.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, Bruce Lee was destroyed. He said, you even got to train your finger.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but it was so disciplined. So he was so cautious with his words, but so dangerous.
One saying that, when you said that, it reminded me of, when you were talking about Bruce Lee, it reminds me of that one saying that says, you'd rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. But it talks about you'd rather have all the tools and be able, it's like that real control, right? I think Jordan Peterson said it when he talked about how a man that is able to, that can actually be a threat, right?
Right.
But keeps it under control is much more dangerous and respected than a man that has no control. It's like you have somebody that can't do nothing, but that's just loudmouthed or whatever like that. You just whatever. But somebody that could do something, but
I could destroy you,
from
but
it,
choose not to.
Choose not to. That's a dangerous one.
That's what I heard the definition of meekness is. And the meek shall inherit the earth. Those type people who got the tools, but are not abusing that power. You know what I mean? So yeah, man. And I think it was that, you know, even the strive of Pac. Like, you know what I mean? You know, my dad, he wasn't really into the rap music, but he was a dude who had a nonprofit. He did invest in the youth. He was a neighborhood dad for us. So when he seen a character like Pac, just like those boys in the streets that he allowed to come to my house and my mama got to cook him dinner, and you know, he was able to recognize where you were trying to go and what you was trying to do. And all you need, you know, is a little spit shine. Like, you know what I mean? That's what he would call it. Just let me spit shine your shoe for you. Like, you got everything, just let me put that spit shine on it. And we've lost those leaders. We've lost. People don't even want to be a leader. I mean, even with the artists, it's like one of the most popular thing is, I'm a musician. I ain't choose to lead your kids. And it's like, man, that comes with the position.
Yeah,
man.
It's a trip because a lot of the people that are considered leaders or kind of want to go in those paths now these days, you don't want them leading the kids, right? It's like stay away from my kids. Stay away from no. Stay away. You got people in there, and then so you got all these people. I had Gabe Al-Taib on earlier.
Right.
And me and him were talking about, because he left his very impactful and influential career with DC. Sitting there looking at 2 contracts, making high 6 figures, right? Yes. He's got nice deals or whatever like that. But when they started to do things that he went against his morals and his values, he dipped out of there. He was like, I'm not about this at all.
Right.
And I was like, that's respectable, right? You have a lot of people, we talk about leaders, that a leader, you got to be able to kind of, a lot of that comes with self-denial. And so many people this world that we live in these days, I mean, people are so self-absorbed and so entrapped in kind of and encased with me. Right. You take things that when it comes to self-improvement and what they call it, self-care and all that kind of stuff, and they become self-righteous and they become these characters that are like, nope, it's all about me. They become so selfish. So when you have somebody that's able to, like, you know what? And when me and Gabe were talking, we were talking about how you don't live for just you. Right. The life that you live now, the life that you're blessed to have, that God's given you, the time on this earth that God's given you, it is not really for you. You don't. If you do it for you, it will end, and it's not going to accomplish much of anything. But the way that you should live is one, and you be more prosperous, is when you live for others. And when you go on and you do things to impact others and build up other people and communities and generations. So then next thing you know, the little cannons that are coming up.
It's a lot of them.
Yeah.
It's a lot of them now.
But all of them, they're looking at, okay, even with what Nick's doing with Wildin' Out and all the projects and everything like that, but more so what I'm talking about, what you're doing when you're talking about all the outreach and all the youth support and everything like that, that's what's going to last, because those are the things that not only affect you and affect those people, but every life that those people touch based off of, and they will look back and like, you know what, this guy used to come to me at juvenile hall, and I didn't know that there's acting and improv classes that I was taking, these lessons or whatever like that. were going to affect me the way
Right.
that they did.
Right,
And that's how you do it. That's the way that you do it. That's why you look up to Jesus, obviously.
Right.
Martin Luther
Right.
King.
Right.
Tupac,
I feel you. But even that was one of the key things, even everything you're saying is just like what I learned in Bible college, and it was a servant's heart.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And to walk in the mentality of service.
Yeah.
You know, whether that's to your children, at work, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
It is a better way. I think more doors are open to the giver. Like, you know what I mean? Your hands are open. There's more that can flow through you. You know what I mean? If they close, you only got what you got. You know what I mean? So,
exactly.
I mean, I'm learning that every day, just even whether it's the principles of tithing or, you know, but definitely sowing those seeds for sure.
That's what you got to do, man. And there's so much that you can. I always say this. I think that I've said this almost on every episode that I've done of this show. Being a positive influence in this world outlasts being a negative one.
Absolutely.
You have people that will try to tear other people down, try to destroy whatever. Like that when I came up with the idea of doing Icon Presents, right? The reason why I wanted to have this platform was for creatives of various industries. Let's get together and let's talk about and promote your projects, right? Let's talk about your, because I mean, what's funny was a lot of it came from the SAG strike, right? So during that time, and everybody's out of work and all that kind of stuff, and you can't promote things and doing all this stuff. And a lot of times it was like, man, we had some of the best things come out because Hollywood wasn't putting anything out. So it was like, oh man, this is great because the garbage that they put out is not hidden.
No,
you don't have those inspirational stories that kind of transcends generations. A Star Wars film made now don't hit like it did back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and even
microwave
early 2000s.
generation.
Man, it's microwave, 100% instant gratification. They don't do the work that it takes to get in there, man. The work that it takes to build those stories, to build all that up. And even when it comes to it, going back to what you said, people wanted to be leaders, right? A lot of these times people put themselves in positions, the methods or ideas of leadership and the reason why they do it is impure. So it's like you get into these situations where you have people, like I said, that act as though they want to be leaders, right? They want to do all this stuff. They want to put out, and now they just call themselves activists. And these activists that come out these days, really all they do is destroy. They
acting,
the
root word of it.
Exactly. They take the things that kind of made and built up societies and that people appreciate. I was explaining to some of my team members some of the things that they did with the reasoning why Gabe El-Taib left. It's like because they took these characters, these symbols, really, and they destroyed them. And then they put it in the name of saying we're doing this for better, whatever like that. It's like, no. You don't get to decide what's better because your actions are impure. So it's always important to remember when you're doing all this stuff, it's like, remain pure.
No, for sure.
Remain pure. And you can only, and the thing is, you can't remain pure by ourselves. We can't. That's why you do it based off of God. That's why you do it off of the Word. Because that's the only thing. The human heart is naturally tainted.
Wicked.
Yes. He was born in it. You can't change it. Nobody is good at heart. There's no such thing as a good person.
Not happening.
Jesus said there's none good but the Father. That's why anybody that says I'm good, there's none. It's like nah.
Yeah, you may have truth in him.
Yeah, exactly. There's no you can't outdo Jesus.
Preach.
You can't outdo any of that. So you got to keep it on that level.
No, for
and
sure.
I love to see the work that you're doing, knowing that it's inspired by your roots in the church, your roots by your dad's, his work in the community, being able to go out there. I mean, it's great. I didn't know any of that stuff before.
No,
so this interview has enlightened me a lot to understand a lot more as to why it is that the way that you do the things that you do. It's like, okay, cool. You got this guy has easy access to Hollywood. Why isn't he going that path? But being able to take that, I did have. So when I would tell you, when I initially asked you about your influences, I'm talking musical influences.
Oh, okay.
Right. So when you're rapping and all that stuff, it's like, okay, who are you? Who kind of helped build that in you?
Definitely, like I said, Pac, but a DMX for sure. Personally, it was just me and my brothers.
Okay.
You know, we would take weights, my dad's weight set, and we would put broomsticks in them and make mic stands, and we stand them up, and that's when I realized I couldn't sing, because my little brother, we would have singing contests. My little brother Ruben would always, and I'm tone deaf, I guess. It's like I couldn't figure out why my daddy wasn't picking me as the winner. I am killing this "You Are Not Alone" song, man. You are not alone. Like, and so I realized I sound like a little dying rat, and I thought I was hitting a high note.
Yeah, nah. And, everything ain't for everybody.
No, I learned that for sure. And so then I started getting my bars up. But in performance, I think to look at everything deeper, you know what I mean? Instead of just rapping, I never wanted, it was always performance. I was always in the theater, you know, and to even, you know, watching comedians, it's more than just what you're saying, it's the timing and how you're performing it. So I watched performers. I think some of the greatest rap performers, like I said, DMX, I would even give Busta Rhymes, you know, just his stage presence.
Who would you say is your greatest right now? Like your top tier when it comes to, you got two different fields to go off of.
Right.
So obviously with you doing rap in the kind of in the more Christian sphere right now, do you listen to much Christian rap?
I do. Okay. I definitely do.
Who would you say is the most influential in that sense? Because I'm going to tell you, I used to listen to Lecrae, Trip Lee, and Annie Mineo, KB, and all of them, right?
Right.
I'm going to tell you, you look like KB.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Shout out KB.
Right? The current KB with the dreads and everything like that. Right. He always had super hyped music and everything like that. His production level on it there, you're like,
the whole place be turned, man.
They go crazy.
Whole place.
And then you got on the hip hop side, I would put like J. Cole. J. Cole is top to me. I don't care what anybody says. That
you
is
put J over Kendrick.
I put J over Kendrick. Yes, I put
Why though? I mean, because I might agree with you, but I might need some of your points.
I'm gonna tell you, I like his flow better, and then I like with Kendrick. I'm gonna tell you his stuff, because it's like, for me, his lyrics can be very deep and everything, but then his beats to me are weak.
Right.
When I get J. Cole, it's a full package.
It's complete,
And so it's like, so when I get a new pair, I remember I bought a new pair of studio speakers, right?
Right.
So I wanted to test them on various types of music.
Right.
So I throw in some gospel music, I throw in some R&B, some soul, and I throw in some hip hop.
Right.
Now, J. Cole got that song, I think it's Emit or something like that. I forget. It's off of the, I'm blanking on the name of the album. It's the one with the billboard or the basketball court that's on fire. Right. But one of those songs, he has an 808 that sounds like it's being played off of it's like it's bouncing as you play it.
Right.
Or as it's hit. So every time it hits.
Not Middle Child.
It's not Middle Child. Okay. But it's what Amari. Amari.
Okay.
That one right there, that the 808 on that one hits different. Ever since for Kendrick, it was like King Kunta was the last one that was like a vibe to me. What is that? To Pimp a Butterfly off of that album.
I feel it.
That was the last one. But I want your top 5 for Christian rap. And then, or not even top 5. I'm not going to make you do 5. Just give me some of your tops.
My tops, definitely. You heard a 7, SEVIN 7 for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, he just raw. You know what I mean? He's a raw dude. It's obvious he came from the streets, but it's obvious he's serious. Like, you know what I mean? It seems like he's just as serious as he was about that gangbang.
Yeah, as he is for this.
Like, he's transferred that energy. I'll die for that. I was willing to die for this.
Now you wouldn't die for this.
Yeah, and it's just, I respect it on a whole nother level. I think one of the greatest lyricists in either genres, and he's played both fields, is Gemstones, a guy named Gemstones. You heard of Gemstones?
I've heard of Gemstones.
You got an elephant in the room and Blind Elephant, man. Oh my goodness. Those are some of the records and some of the people, Gemstones and Bizzle.
Yes, I was literally about to bring him up.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, this dude, because back in the day, I used to listen to some Bizzle, and now he's making a resurgence.
Yeah,
right
for sure.
now. And I'm like, yo, this dude is coming
because he came in going at Jay, and it was like the world was like, who is this dude?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And I was like, he said there, with his little phone camera and everything. He just a wall behind him right now, red light, and he's just going in. Every bar right now is hidden.
Yeah, man.
Yes, I love it,
man. Oh, they come out. Oh, CHH ain't playing no games. But yeah, Jim's like those dudes. When I went to Bible college, because it wasn't easy for me, man. Like I was, a lot of people they go to Bible college right after high school. They 18. Like I went and lived a whole life. I had my daughter was about 3 years old. I'm a single dad. I'm leaving Hollywood at the highest level, and now I'm going to live on dorm. I'm probably like, mid-20s at this point. Brownies 18, 19-year-olds. And living on campus. So it was like, that was plenty times where I'm like, I'm out of here. I ain't about to finish this before I finish. And just God holding me. There's different songs like Oceans and like that just touched me different. But those guys, Bizzles, there's a guy named Hurt, and I actually began to met Hurt in person.
Oh, nice.
And then went to his church and heard him preaching. Just me being in the community on the front line with the young visionaries, I realized a lot of those, the CHAs, the Christian rappers, Seven's brother, Seven Deuce, they be on the front line in the IE, man, like really pushing the line. And so I wasn't really on I was just purging. I was just coming out of Bible college, and I had already listened to their music, and they were some of the dudes who kept me in there. Like, okay, I needed somebody to identify with. Right. You know what I mean? I needed something that looked like where I was going. I knew where I was coming from. Where am I going? And so they were the blueprint for where I was going. And then being on the front line in the community, I would see these dudes in the neighborhoods. I mean, we in some of the worst neighborhoods in San Bernardino doing give backs and giveaways, and especially during COVID. And I would see these dudes, and then that became more real for me. Like, yo, they not just talking. Like they don't even know I'm Nick Cannon, brother, man. They don't even, and they out here on the front line. They don't even know they music kept me through some stuff. Got me through some. And then to meet them and to see the genuine, and it's just like, man, this is what it means to be a soldier. But then God convicted me with it. It's like, man, I got soldiers, homie. Don't think like many are called, few are chosen. You gonna get out? Like, you know what I mean? Because you thinking as a stereotype on the Christian or the Christian hip hop, like that is weak, that is soft, that is the second tier, is not the best. And I understand some of that. I grew up as a church kid. I understand why a label might have been placed on CHA. I fully understand.
100%. Back in the day, I remember there was this one song back. It was funny because I watched it developing, grow. Because I remember this one song that used to go, "We gonna take you to church every time we ride." And I was like, man, this song's weak. like for me, and it's funny because growing up, we didn't listen to secular music in the house. You know? PK, we didn't have that.
This ain't happening.
So I didn't, even when it comes to more secular artists, I always tell people, and it cracks people up, because they'll be like, "Hey, you remember this song?" And it'd be something that came out in the early 2000s. I was like, nah, but Fred Hammond was slapping back in the day.
He was too.
So that's what
Kirk Franklin and the family was going.
Right, exactly. Me and my brother would walk to school singing Fred Hammond songs. We'll sing the entire album, just me and him walking together, going through. And that was what resonated with me.
That's fire, though.
And so but then as I grew up and I even got more exposed to even some of the more Christian rap, I was like, oh man, they came a lot. They came up. Right. And sometimes it's a sad thing when you start seeing them and their lives don't really match up. So then they start, and it's like, all right, sometimes they start getting into controversial stuff or whatever like that, or they start trying to teeter. It's like, nah, you was like trying to play both fields too much. Nah, you got to be in or out. You can't start saying, oh yeah. It's like, and then people want to get upset when Lecrae does a song with some hip hop artist that's cussing on his track. And it's like, nah, bro, that's what makes, what do you think? And then people say, oh no, it's so I can draw people in. It's like, nah, you don't really don't do it that way. You ain't try to draw people in by doing what they doing. You got to be the light. It's like, what fellowship? This ship is good, but evil. With light, with darkness. It's like, nah, you don't do that. But man, it's all right, man. Well, Gabe, I have thoroughly enjoyed this interview. It's been a great time. I look forward to everybody else checking this out. Tell the people, where can they find you?
Well, I mean, since the show, you can find me on ABC and Hulu for sure, baby. You can definitely rewatch the show. It's called Claim to Fame. I don't know if we touched on Claim to Fame. It's basically a bunch of celebrity relatives. We all in the same house. I'm in there with JB Smooth daughter, Alicia Keys' brother, Eddie Murphy daughter, Dolly Parton's niece, Tom Hanks, like Donny Osmond. Me and Donny Osmond's son got into it a little bit. You gotta watch it, man. You can stream it on Hulu.
Okay.
And then on social media, Gabriel Cannon Music on Instagram and Gabriel Cannon everywhere else.
Awesome, man.
So yeah, man, God is good. I love what you're doing, man. I appreciate the platform you build and just to have an outlet, man, of just to come speak and to come iron sharpens iron, man, for sure.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, everything. Check out Icon Presents website. If you have, real quick, first time I'm going to do this. If you are a creative in the San Diego area, or if you're coming through here and you want to be on the Icon Presents podcast, go to iconpresents.com, hit the link that says sign up, and we'll get in touch.
Bang.
So with that being said, thank you all for joining us. Y'all take care.